What's going on, everyone? It's your boy. Today I'm going to be talking about the top 10 most gruesome or disgusting moments in Naruto. This isn't a topic I've really seen too much of. And it's like, those moments in like Dragon Ball, like where you kind of watch the anime and you kind of get a bit of an idea of sort of how gory it is. And then you read the manga and it's like, oh my god, this is not for kids. So starting off with number 10, we've got Shikamaru's arm melting. If you guys don't remember, Shikamaru fights the Sound 4 member named Taiyuya. Now in this fight, Shikamaru gets placed under Sound Genjutsu and you might think, oh yeah, like, he's like melting and blah blah blah. But what ends up happening is that Shikamaru's arm is literally melting to the bone in the manga. Now, you really need to read this fight. Shikamaru just gets like his arm melted off. It's quite disgusting. Next one up, number 9, is Sasuke and Itachi's little Genjutsu scuffle. And in this battle, Itachi places Sasuke under a Genjutsu or tsukuyomi and pretty much just pulls his eyeball out while he's still alive. Now, what happens is that Itachi's sort of tsukuyomi ability, it actually does make you feel everything. It can warp your perception of, time, space. It gives Itachi control over everything. Sasuke had to feel, smell, and hear his eyeball getting taken out of. And in the manga, he's literally just left with like an empty socket. And he just, gets his eyeball placed into a jar and Itachi moves on with his life. It's pretty alarming. Now, this is like, sort of similar to Kakashi getting his eyeball ripped out of by Madara, but I think the reason this one made the list and that Kakashi one didn't is because of just Sasuke's just visceral reaction to it. If you're a new watcher or a new viewer of Naruto, like, you don't know, people's eyeballs just get removed all the time. Like, it's a super casual thing, right? Sasuke just screams in pain and is terrified. It's horrific. It's such a crazy moment. Number 8, this isn't like a super big one. This is just something that I noticed like later on when I was reading Naruto for the first time. It's actually Orochimaru's lab. If you guys didn't know, Orochimaru is like a character that trains so hard and is trying to learn every jutsu and has this complex where he's afraid of death and he'll do anything he can pretty much to avoid this fear of death. It's like how he was brought up and blah blah blah, and the third war scarred him, all that. So he has the moral high ground to do everything in his power to surpass death, and that includes ripping people in half and leaving them on display. And in this scene you literally just see about a dozen or so people just strung up and half cut off, and Orochimaru is one of those characters that really does have some disturbing moments. And if I had it my way, I'd probably just put 10 Orochimaru disgusting moments, but this video needs a bit of variety. Next up, this is a bit of a weird one, but hear me out, alright? So this is Sasori's puppet process. This is like some straight out of Junji Ito type shit. Like, Junji Ito's like a horror mangaka who does a bunch of weird sort of abstract concepts. One of those stories that really got to me is literally a story about people in a house that are just puppets, and it's really quite freaky. And when you really get down to the deep sort of roots of what Sasori is doing, it's quite disturbing. He literally makes you like an empty shell, but you have all your abilities and you look like a puppet. It's very strange. I think this sort of judgment, could be a little bit, this moment could be a bit higher, but it's like, well, Sasori kills the person at least first. If the person was alive and he, took out all their organs and stuff, it's like that moment would be a lot higher, but it's sort of this low because it's only just freaky, they're sort of dead after it happens. Next up, everyone saw this one coming, the tsukuyomi. This one's up next for various reasons. The fact that when I was a kid, it actually legitimately frightened me a little bit. How can someone as strong as Kakashi just get looked at and pretty much destroyed, Not to mention 3 days of agonizing, will-breaking, mind-bending torture where all Itachi had to do was like slowly put his knives and swords into Kakashi's body. Like, And not only that, it's like implied that this is happening to multiple versions of Kakashi. So not only is he getting stabbed, it'd be like if you had like 200 other Yus that all had the same nervous system also getting just slowly stabbed for 3 days straight. And not only that, it's sort of like also longer than 3 days probably, because Kakashi says that thing like, oh, it's only been 1 second, I've been here for that long. Pretty crazy, scary ability, honestly, the tsukuyomi. Next one up, number 5. This one is Kimimaro, the number 1 henchman of Orochimaru and Orochimaru's favourite person. This one's not so much a moment, it's just all of him pretty much, like just him as a character, his abilities. He's presented very scarily, he's a very creepy man. He teleports behind Tayuya and pretty much whispers in her ear and then bails. Kimimaro has an ability that stems from the Kaguya clan, which lets him manipulate his bones. And, you know, when I was a kid it was like, oh, whatever, like that's a cool ability. In the manga, you literally see him pull out his shoulder bone and there's like a cavernous hole in his shoulder. And it's even worse when it gets to, you know, the fights and stuff with Gaara. Gaara crushes his whole body. You just see inside of his mouth and his rib cage. It's insanely disturbing. And, you know, Kimimaro, whether or not you think he can feel it, like, do you guys think that he can feel himself pulling out these bones? How does he feel when his spinal cord gets ripped out and he uses it as a weapon? You know, these are questions I want you guys to answer, but again, one of those moments that's insanely creepy in the manga. Anime doesn't do it justice because of, you know, censorship and stuff, but I really just want to do a video on Kimimaro anyway. Like, let me know in the comments, like, do you guys want to see a video on this guy and maybe how strong he could be? We're doing a video doing the who could join the Akatsuki, and in that video, spoiler alert, I might bring up Kimimaro, so keep your eyes out open for that one. It'll be a good one. Number 4, this is a weird one, but just hear me out. It's actually just sealing in general, and it's specifically like the Reaper Death Seal or the Shikifujin. This ability summons the Grim Reaper, and you know, you might not think it's that creepy or gory or whatever, but this ability is so intense, it can actually scare Orochimaru, you know, the guy who could fear hacks and scare Kakashi away twice. This sort of ability literally puts you inside the belly of the Grim Reaper. So in Naruto, sealing's kind of a weird thing, like whether or not you think they just endlessly suffer like the Totsuka blade is implied to do with Itachi's ability, but I really don't know why the sort of sealing isn't brought up a whole lot, because it's sort of just like you're in limbo, I guess. You know, you sort of leave the physical world, but you can't actually properly die, because we know that your soul just gets transferred from like the belly of the Reaper to an Edo Tensei body as Orochimaru does, but I just think sealing in general is just very creepy, and I wish that, you know, Kishimoto brought to light how scary this is for some people, specifically the Reaper Death Seal, because that is such an insane jutsu. Speaking of sealing and all that sort of stuff, the next one up we have Edo Tensei normally. So this ability is probably again better in the manga because you actually get to see more gruesome stuff happens, but the anime does a really good job showing that the Edo Hokage, like, you know, getting summoned by the Zetsus and their soul coming back to life. It's just insane. The Edo Tensei is one of those strange abilities that actually makes, like, Kabuto actually has to explain the full thing. Now the reason it's on this list is just because of like a few key moments. When the first and second Hokage get defeated and sealed, we see the Sound Ninjas' faces sort of just there on a puddle of ash, and you know, that's a real scene in and of itself. You know, just the way that their faces kind of break apart and melt, and it's just like the Edo Tensei is like a psychological weapon more so than a power one for some people, because we see like Ino Shikacho, like they are not gonna fight Asuma, like, and all that sort of stuff happens. So, you know, the Edo Tensei, really cool jutsu, very disturbing. Again, done much better in the manga. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about the Edo Tensei? Should it be on this list? I personally think it should. It has some good moments. runner-up from number 1, obviously, we have number 2, is Hidan's death. Like, is he dead? He just gets decapitated, and it was like 16 years before Boruto. Is he still there? This dude, Hidan, pretty much was granted immortality by a god named Jashin, and he flexes his immortality all the time. He's getting carried away to the point where even people like Shikamaru can tag and get the upper hand of him. And Hidan gets bodied so hard by Shikamaru that he gets paper bombed, blown up, underground, buried, all that sort of stuff. And it is sort of it is likely that he is dead because he might have to eat food to sustain his brain. But I mean, somewhere in Naruto, there might be just a head underground still screaming in pain. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if Boruto and Kawaki just randomly stumbled across it and could hear this madman screaming underground. Very crazy moment. And now we have number 1, the winner. I don't know any moment that is as creepy or disgusting as this one. This is Obito getting torn apart while he's becoming the Jubi Jinchuriki. What's pretty much happening here is that Obito is obviously going insane because of the sheer power of the Jubi. And we just see his face get ripped open from the mouth, and his arms get torn off, and his legs. And can he feel this? Like, does he feel this? He's screaming in pain. And again, people comment on Kishimoto's art being not very good, but even in the anime and the manga, like, this is a very well drawn moment. Very well detailed, very disturbing. You know, let me know what you guys think is number 1. I personally think it's this moment. When I first read it, I just could not look away because of how weird it looked. You know, his mouth is literally getting busted open like some sort of horror flick. But guys, that's the video. I know this was a little bit of a low effort video, but look forward to who could join the Akatsuki. That's a video that I'm going to be doing with Prodigy and Loco, and that video is really good. Should have some really hot takes in it, and let me know what videos you guys want to see me do in the future. I have some ideas, but I want to know what you guys think I should do. Like, what sort of stuff should I do? So, thanks very much for watching, guys. I'll talk to you all soon. Peace.